So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Aston Villa fans, welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. I think myself and Paddy, we wanted to jump on last night when this kind of news started to break, or yesterday when this news started to break. We just couldn't get it together. So this is a pre-recorded podcast and it'll probably be going out on Friday. But we wanted to talk about Chris Heck. Checks out, as you can see there. Chris Heck is off to live golf, Paddy. I don't think I saw it coming, but at the same time, I never thought that Chris Heck would be here for 10 years. What's your view on it?
No, it was always going to be a short-term thing in order to turn the ship into a huge, I don't know, what was bigger, a ship or a juggernaut? They're trying to turn the club into a juggernaut and a financial juggernaut, and that's what he was brought in to do. I'm not overly surprised that it's gone this year. Probably a little bit surprised at the timing. I'm sure when everything is mathematically said and done, the season ticket prices will come out, and there'll be a lot of finger pointing and blaming and whatever. Mainly because I'm like most. I'm on the borderline to whether I can actually keep going with it or not. So if he checks out and puts another bumper 20% or does something stupid with the season tickets, then there's a lot of people in big trouble. But it is what it is. I think from the owner's point of view, they'll probably remember him more fondly than the fans will for what he has done financially for the club. Not that we're fully aware of it just yet. But I suppose the financial fair play thing is obviously front and center of everything that everybody does now, and he was brought in to basically improve turnover, improve profit, get bums on seats, charge people more for bums on seats, find areas to exploit for hospitality. Like, for God's sake, he even used the old cells where the hooligans used to go, which is nuts. But look, it's I didn't punch the air or anything like that, but you can be sure there's someone else coming in behind with an equally harsh budget ahead of him, and or whoever it is to make sure that we're still able to compete financially at the top table. Because obviously everything hangs in the balance with European football for next season. So that's obviously what they're waiting on. Cut the cloth to fit for whatever we're doing. But I'm neither here nor there with it. As I said, financially it'll probably remembered fondly by the money men, but probably not by the bulk of fans.
So, and look, I'm agnostic towards it as well. I can completely understand anybody who is not Heck's biggest fan with regards to season tickets. And I've always said this, and, to the ire of people, to the ire of some DMs afterwards, I've always said, I'm not going to throw my feet in two-footed and talk about ticket prices and stuff like that, because I don't have a season ticket. That's why I love having you on the podcast here. I don't want to start making representations for things that I don't fully know about. But secondly, I do want to be an advocate for people who have season tickets. I think the season ticket price has gone up an awful lot, and so on. I was looking through Twitter. I actually just looked through there, and I found a post on Twitter that said Chris Heck finalised the new badge, increased revenue by 27%, improved Villa Park, had the warehouse redevelopment, has North Stand plans in again, which I'd argue that this is the fourth set of plans that have been in the last 3 years, I would say. 150th anniversary kits, etc. Huge summer concerts and US exposure. And underneath that, there was another comment that was in that says, Chris Heck finalised his own cartoonish badge, increased season ticket prices by 200%, delayed Villa Park improvements, 150 kits were cool in fairness, and US exposure, question mark. If he had any involvement with the Adidas deal, then that's a positive, I suppose. So, there is a polarizing aspect to this man. This man has been polarizing since, I suppose, he first came in the door. He has done some good things. Those infrastructural things, I've been very, very positive about those. Been very positive about the redevelopments. Been very positive about the warehouse stuff. How much of those were him and were in the makings, like the Villa 1 project? If anything, the stuff that's going ahead is scaled down from when Purslow was there. So we have to put that in context as well. But the big thing for me is that they are now going ahead. It's all well and good for me to say I want to build a 12-story mansion in the back arse end of nowhere in Ballingarry, County Limerick. But you're not going to get permission for it. You're not going to have the money for it. So it's all well and good saying I'm going to build this massive palace. If I can't afford it, I need to build something that I can. So there's a lot of gray areas there. There's a lot of things that he can take credit for. There's a lot of things that he can be fired at him from the infrastructural point of view as well. I think for certain. But the one big legacy I do think he's going to have is the GA plus, the hospitality, for good or bad. Some people will see it as a positive. Some people will see it as a massive negative, and the increase in ticket prices. I think that will follow him for the next 10 to 15 to 20 years when his name comes up at Villa Park. Saying that, if we were to go out and get massive success over the next 5 or 10 years and all the GA plus stuff does pay off, well, then maybe it was a necessary evil, but that isn't for me to decide. It's for history, I suppose, to decide. But once again, there is the aspect, and I do agree from where I started off, the football fan paid for that success. That same football fan through season tickets and GA plus.
And you've got to remember too, I could not tell you one person over the years that was involved in the financial aspects of the club that is remembered fondly. So
that's true. That is true.
Regardless of what he was going to do for the club, he was on a hiding to nothing. That's not me backing him by any stretch of the imagination. I feel hurt by some of the decisions that were made. I'm also glad with some of the decisions that were made, but my overriding emotion is, how did it affect my pocket? How much did it cost me to get to Villa Park this year? And my trips were curtailed by the season ticket hike, the price of Champions League football, and unfortunately, that's the price of success. It'll be interesting to see what happens should we not get that next year, and it'll be a tough act for someone to follow if we don't.
That's exactly it, and I do think all eyes will turn to the boardroom with regards to this, because you need a good you need somebody steering the ship. As you said, you used the nautical analogy at the start. You're going to need a good captain here, and he's going to have to come in with somebody that will have their like somebody in the crow's nest, being able to look out for them as well. I think one of the big things was Chris Heck came in. He was the figurehead. He was the person who's coming from US franchises. He was known as being a revenue guy, and he did his job. The methods to it will always be open for conversation. I think whoever comes in next is going to need to read the room as well. They're going to need to look at the revenue side of things, and the potential delineation of power there with regards to that position. I don't know whether that's a positive or a negative, but what I'm saying is it'll be interesting to see if there is a delineation of power within that role. If there is maybe multiple people that come in across that level, and if there is, and if there isn't, maybe we never get to find that out either in the public sphere. But yes, Chris Heck will be fervently debated, I think, over the course of the next few years, but he goes off to live golf, and from a balance sheet point of view, I think you would have to say that Villa are potentially in a better place. But we wait to see when the 2024 or 2025 money results come out, balance sheets and stuff like that come out as well. Now, Paddy, that wasn't the only.
Ask me on the 27th of June when we're trying to if fire
Yeah.
sale our talent out the door like we were last year.
Well, yeah, I did a bit with Claret and Blue on that, and I have a sneaking suspicion that we won't need to. I think that some of the
I don't think so either. I don't see any reason why we would need to, with all that Champions League money, with the John Duran money.
Not even that. I think that the money out to balance the books is a lot of the players that we have out on loan. I think Buendia is going to be staying at Leverkusen. I think Nedeljkovic is going to be staying at Leipzig, which not as we may not like one or both of those. And I think that we may see one or two maybe older players in the team maybe moved on. But anyway, talking about players moving on, Paddy, one of these two players might be the somebody that comes in for the PSR. Not only is Chris Heck on his way to Saudi on the Live Golf tournament. Looks like potentially, well, I won't say looks like, but there was a rumor, there was conjecture, there was a report that Emi Martinez has been offered mega money to go, and also Leon Bailey has been offered mega money to go. Not surprised by the Bailey side of things. I always saw him end up maybe there after this move from Villa. I saw him end up probably it was there, or maybe in Italy was where I saw him end up. It wouldn't surprise me at all if there was a bid comes in for him. Martinez was the one though that I just can't square that circle, Paddy. Tell me your views on it.
Well, I would imagine there's a lot of people that will say he hasn't had his best season. Probably one of the last windows where we're going to get a decent return on what we, as in a decent profit on what we paid. Still very relevant in the news as being still the world number one technically. But there's absolutely no way he's picking up that Yashin award this year, given the first half of the year, in my opinion. But on the other hand, I still don't see where we get better from. So he's very, very hard to replace. You know my opinion on Leon Bailey. I'm not even going to go there with this question. It's just, yeah. It
was the only question I was asking. We could be here until next week if you were get on the Bailey question.
Fill up the bank account with that one. I won't lose any sleep whatsoever. But the Emi Martinez one, I would be fearful if that was true. I would like to think now that we have decided we're not going to make money on this fella. We're going to keep him as our number one. We're going to work on it to get a decent number two in there to give him enough downtime that he's able to rest and recover the body and be fully functional for when we need him. Because there has been a couple of times he's let us down and disappointed us this season. And we won't go into those here and now. But the overriding thing for me is he's very, very hard to replace. There's very, very few good goalkeepers out there. There's an awful lot of goalkeepers gone for big, big money and failed. So he has been a success. We know that. He has been absolutely brilliant with us for the 5 years. And there's no reason why we can't get another 5 out. And by that stage, you probably still get the 20 million back that we paid for him.
That's my view on it as well. I think it's a very simple one. I think people are clamoring for him to go. Is you don't know what you got till it's gone. I know that sounds a bit silly because we do know what we got in Emi Martinez. Obviously, we all chant his name all the time. I go back to Manchester United getting rid of David De Gea and getting in Andre Onana in there. You know, they thought that they had played a blinder. And I know De Gea sat at home for a year and signed with Fiorentina this year. But David De Gea was a damn good goalkeeper and he was young. He was only, 30, 31 at the time. They get in Onana and now they want Onana out now as well, you know. And a lot of clubs have gone through the merry-go-round of thinking they can improve their goalkeeper and not being able to. Chelsea being another mark on that one. You know, it's I go so far as to say maybe Spurs, like Vicario at the start was lights out, and now there's a couple of Spurs fans are going, "Oh, did he come back from that injury better or worse? Or he definitely didn't come back better. Or did he come back worse?" And you know they bought that Czech kid for about 12-15 million as well. So unless, and I think to be honest with you, I think there's a few players in our squad, Paddy. I think there's a few players in our squad that people would like to see the back of. That unless we can replace them. The value, yes, the 60 million, whatever, the 50 million, the 40 million, the 30 million, whatever those players, unless we can replace their value to the team, I need to be convinced on that as well. And that's what this summer, there will be a lot of conversation about that in the summer. And I know everybody, when this does go out, will probably put the same name into the comments here as well. But look, it's difficult to replace your goalkeeper. And I think that, you know, if Martinez says he wants to go to Saudi, I would be blown away by that. I think he's a bit more competitive person than that. But
that's what you would have thought. You would have thought that the guy wants to go and compete at the highest level, both for club and country. He has the ability and probably the less mileage in the legs to do that for a lot longer than most. Even goalkeepers are getting younger these days. So the fact that he didn't play much football until he came to us might stand to him in the long term. Yeah. He could run easily till he's nearly 40 or over 40, like they used to, if he looks after himself, and he does look after himself, in fairness, physically. He has obviously been Player of the Year more or less for the first 4 years he was here, and arguably that is the case. But this year hasn't been his best year. That doesn't mean that next year rocks around and he's the world's number one again. But I'm still a little bit hurting over a few things that have happened, especially recently, that I thought he could have done better with. But that doesn't mean that I want them to go. It's like that meme that goes around with the guy holding the umbrella over the Villa badge, saying just because I'm annoyed with you doesn't mean I don't love you. That's the way it is. You know, we don't give up on that kind of talent. Whereas we've seen Bailey go full circle from being shite to good to shite again. So we know that he has that in him. Whereas Martin has been consistent for nearly 5 years. So I'm more than happy to keep him if there's someone else that we can be selling selling our PSR balancers, let's call them, because the replacing players is quite easy. Replacing a goalkeeper isn't.
Yeah, and I think you made a great point at the start. You were being linked to that guy from Espanyol, whose name is just completely escaping me now at the moment. Maybe you do bring in a top quality backup. Maybe if Villa's ambitions aren't matching Emmy's ambitions over the next maybe year or whatever, and he does decide, listen, you know what, I want to go play for Barcelona, because there could very easily be a goalkeeping spot open up at Barcelona. And I know everyone says Barcelona, they have a pot to piss in. Barcelona always have money to spend. They will find it. Don't you worry. I'm saying that for the last 2.5 years, 3 years. They're going to, like, if they need to pull a lever and sell Rafinha, they're getting 150 million, 170 million from Saudi straight away, because he's probably the best player, not named Lamal in the world at the moment. He's been an absolute cracking player this year. Anyway, we could talk about this forever. Just wanted to come on and just acknowledge it. Obviously, Chris Heck leaving. Obviously, Saudi coming knocking on the door again. Maybe the two are related. Live Golf is owned by the Saudi private investment fund. As I don't know. Get on your tinfoil hats. Pop your conspiracy theories in the comments if you wish. We're going to be back with more. See you very, 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 very soon. Before
you sign off, Neil, this will go out Friday. So tonight I'll be in the Aston Inn with some special guests.
Yes.
Justin from Up the Villa podcast, Hannah from Up the Villa podcast, Frankie Maguire from All Villa No Filler, and Chad from the Villa Forever podcast, along with Michael Huggins. So if you can come along, we'd all really appreciate it. We're still waiting on a couple of special guests that might come along. We don't know as yet. Maybe that will have been dead, or it's still going to happen by the time this goes out. But keep an eye on the socials. There's more than enough good guys there to keep you entertained for the night and to raise some money for Acorns Children's Hospice. So see what you can do. If you're in the area, if you're over from Ireland especially, come along, have a pint. If you're coming from overseas tomorrow or on Friday, you know where we are, Aston Inn from 7:30.
Absolutely, great cause, and pity I can't get over there, because I would love to get over to that as well. So thanks ever so much, everybody, for watching and for listening. As always, please like, share, subscribe, all that lovely stuff, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.